A lawyer, the anonymous whistleblower whose complaint sparked House Democrats' impeachment inquiry, sending a cease and desist letter to the White House, demanding President Trump stop attacking their client and warning he may be liable for anything that happens to the whistleblower. Let's bring in former Deputy Assistant Attorney General, our favorite legal eagle, John Yoo. We got a lot of questions tonight. John, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Shannon, I'm ready.
Okay, so let's start with this letter from Andrew Bakaj, who is one of the attorneys representing the whistleblower, saying, should anyone be physically harmed, my co-counsel Mark Zaid and I will not hesitate to take any and all appropriate action against your client, meaning the president. What do you make of that letter tonight?
This is a legal publicity stunt. There's no right. I mean, even if a private citizen wanted to say things criticizing the whistleblower, he would or she would be protected by the free speech clause. Certainly the president and our elected leaders in Congress are free to say whatever they want about any public figure and about any public issue. So there's no ability legally to get a president or a senator or a member of the House to stop criticizing someone, particularly a member of the government. There's just no legal foundation for this.
Okay, so what are the protections for a whistleblower when it comes to anonymity? How far does that extend? How does this work?
It's actually interesting because what the letter really does raise is whether we're ever going to learn the whistleblower's identity. There's even an argument that the executive branch has made, the president and the head of director of national intelligence have made, about whether this person really is a whistleblower. But assuming he is protected by the law doesn't guarantee anonymity. What the law is there to guarantee is that there's no retaliation, that he's not fired, that he doesn't lose any salary over it. But actually, the anonymity is not really called for by statute. And so the really interesting question is, when the impeachment hearings start getting to go next week, are we going to learn the identity of the whistleblower? Isn't the president and the minority party going to get a chance to question the whistleblower and find out whether what he said in that famous memo was actually the truth and what the origins of some of these stories were that he's telling?
Okay, which leads me to a couple more questions, including this letter we got tonight from Devin Nunes. He has sent this letter to the chair of the House Intel Committee, Adam Schiff, saying, basically, we thought we were going to hear from the whistleblower. Now that we're not, it's time for you to testify in private, saying they're asking him to sit for a closed-door deposition. It says, you know, we know now that you or your staff, somebody met or talked with the whistleblower, and we've got a lot of questions about it. We want to know if you had any discussions, what the circumstances were, whether the whistleblower was giving any guidance. So what are the odds that Adam Schiff sits for a closed-door depo?
I think they're about zero. But what this really is about is whether Schiff will allow the Republican minority and the White House counsel to have a chance to question the whistleblower himself. That's the safest thing for Chairman Schiff to do. The hard thing is that this all has to be done, I think, in the most open and transparent way, because what the House majority has to realize is that they have to persuade the American people and the Senate. The more it looks like they're stonewalling reasonable requests from the minority, the more that they're appearing not to follow fair process, even if though they're not required to in the Constitution, the more they slam the door on fair process, the less likely they'll get a conviction in the Senate.
Okay, so we're just hours away now from the next big development in this whole thing, which is the fact that the Republicans have to have a list of requested witnesses in now to the Democrats by tomorrow morning that they want to see called publicly. Then Democrats actually get to decide which of those witnesses, if any of them, are actually called to testify publicly. They've got all the veto power. So how do you think this is going to work? Because you know the Republicans are going to make a big stink if they don't get some of the people they request on the list, or any of them.
So first thing I would assume the Republicans are going to do is pursue this storyline that maybe the House Democrats were cooperating with the whistleblower and some of the witnesses. They want to raise questions whether there's been some kind of coordination of stories, which would raise doubts about the whole. And then if they want to be really mischievous, they might say we want to have Hunter Biden and Joe Biden called up for questions. Now, you're exactly right. The House, under these new rules, has the power to refuse to issue subpoenas and allow these witnesses to appear. But again, I think that's going to create a devastating image of the House investigation refusing to be fair and transparent, which will all but guarantee that the trial will fail in the Senate and the American people will be suspicious of the outcome of impeachment.
Well, I'm going to get up early on Saturday morning so I can see the list when it comes out, and then we'll start setting the odds on which ones may actually see the light of day. In the meantime, John Yoo, always great to have you. Thank you.